everyone. It's S.LadyBug checking in. It's Sunday. It's a sipping stitch. Um, you guys get to see my other, room without the backdrop. But today I decided that it would be a good time to kind of share a few stories. I was reminiscing and looking at the videos from last year in Tanzania, and it just brought back all of the warm and fuzzies for me. So you all are aware, or maybe some of you aren't aware, that Yarn Movement has a nonprofit arm known as Believe in What You Dream. Believe in What You Dream really came from a space where I went back to my younger self, my little 9-year-old self, when I was learning how to crochet, and thought about what was the thing that was so magical about learning to crochet for me, and how has it really matriculated its way into adulthood for me? How have I been able to utilize it? What kind of value has been brought into the space? And really, I would say that crochet for me was the vehicle that really helped me identify my superpower, as I like to call it, my passion, my confidence, and knowing that I have this capability internally that I have really control over, that I can therefore express in reality of life. And what did that do for me as a 9-year-old, and what can that do for girls who really participate in the Believe in What You Dream workshop? Is it can do the same thing, right? Put yourself in this space where not only are you sitting back understanding like, okay, I have dreams, I think, when you're not quite sure, how to really define what is a dream, and really it's those internal thoughts, those, attributes about yourself that really gives you this focus. I like to think of it as, it's like a pre-course. You almost have a trailer inside of your mind while you're sleeping of things that you can do in reality of life. And that gives you the vision to really move it forward. And crochet is, again, that vehicle that allows your thoughts to connect with your hands, because we all know that if you are in a position where you're putting your hands to work, then therefore you are creating, your reality. And that's what we're really doing for the girls with Believe in What You Dream, helping them make those connections. And we do it in creative ways. So the first way being, we go through and we create dream catchers. Dream catchers, we all should be familiar with dream catchers, but even if not, sometimes we're not always familiar with the symbolism and why they're symbolic. And really, they provide a visual nature of, connecting your dreams to something. Everything that's here, it has to be expressed some way. And so we take the time and we go through and create dream catchers really as a daily reminder that you have a dream. Why is that important? Because as long as you know that you have some kind of purpose that you're going after, that gives you this focus that is really required to be successful later on, right? And whatever you do. If you want to write a book, you have to put some efforts into writing that book, thinking about what is it going to be about, writing it down, organizing it, then creating some kind of plan that shows up as a table of contents, and those end up being your chapters. Then you have a focus to write on. So every day you have a thought of this dream catcher, puts us in position where we can remind ourselves of it. Secondarily, kind of like I just mentioned, of having like a table of contents, and then you have chapters similar to the steps that you take in life. Who did you talk to? What did you actually do? What step did you take that allowed you to have the best, results? Who are those people involved? Who did you ask? How well did it work out for you? What were some of the pros and cons? Those are all important throughout your journey as well, because that lets you know what you can repeat moving forward, what really works well for you and what doesn't, and that's a part of character development. And we're allowing these girls to have an opportunity to have a little bit of character development a little bit earlier on in life, while creating what will be a strategic plan to go along with it, which sounds probably real sciencey and really like something they should be doing while they're adults, but really this is what can help them get more focused in school. if you understand what you're trying to learn and what you're trying to do, and you create what will be like your own personal toolkit, your own personal strategy of success, then you always have your approach of how it works for you, and it's important for all of us. But, for me, I thought it'd be really cool to be able to really help girls in particular get there a little bit quicker while they're in their development ages of, learning subject matter, learning what it is to be, a girl, and how they're going to show up during the day, how they're going to face challenges in life, and with that, it became very important to include inside of these Dream Girl kits. Inside the Dream Girl kit is what their toolkit that they're being given to be a participant in the workshop. And inside the Dream Girl kit, while they're on their journey of, really making these steps and learning and really just figuring out how they're going to identify, somewhere along the lines, they end up starting their cycle, which throws a whole nother level of, things to kind of deal with. It's the hormones, it's, this anxiety that they're not necessarily formally familiar with, the kind that comes up, that brings you to a place where you almost come apart if you're not prepared for it, right? And so for the girls up until this point that have been participants in the Believe in What You Dream international tour, they've all come from underdevelopment or developing communities. And so therefore, having sanitary products and personal hygiene products are really a modern luxury that many of them don't have. And as much as fun as it is to bring colorful yarn and, create dope things by doing dream catchers, it's a fun activity for those who have, never participated in making your own dream catcher. Is really fun. You have, an opportunity to be expressive as you want, and you get reminded of it every day, right? Even with journaling, it becomes a personal thing where you get to write down in your journal, what your true aspirations are. And for many of these girls, having a voice being heard hasn't really been a part of their makings. And so many of them, this is like the first time that someone asks you, like, okay, what are you planning on doing when you get older? What kind of things do you actually like? What's your favorite subject matter? And so inside of the Dream Girl Kids, we decided to include sanitary products and personal hygiene products, which really is the heavy lifting for the actual putting the kits together, along with the solar lamps that we're putting inside. Those are the key essentials that really, 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 really provide the kit portion of it, right? It's one thing to provide supplies and materials needed to do the workshop so we can have fun and engage with each other. But the more overarching piece that's more supportive of, the thought of like the Dream Girl kit, like you're becoming this Dream girl within this workshop. So during your becoming process, you're getting the tools that are needed to really help you go from where you are today to your future self and what you visualize. And so those are being included there. And, it's kind of like an unspoken thing, that communication that kind of happens because, in one scenario, I had to sit back and tell the girls how to use the sanitary products. And that really took me back. And it took me back because it was in that moment that it dawned on me that underwear should have been included. Coming in from a first world mindset of understanding, like, well, I see this as a problem, here's a way we can resolve it. But the entrepreneur in me is like, okay, let's figure out how we can change it. And that's what we have an opportunity to do together. That's why I'm coming on live every Sunday, because the third part of that is crochet. It is the part that connects all of it and shows them how, Yeah, they may learn from myself or whoever else may be there to help instruct on crocheting, but it's the ongoing connection that really allows it to keep going. And I thought it would be a really great way to really start today's conversation on Sip and Stitch, because really, want to be in a space where we really understand impact. Impact is important, at least to my journey. I mean, that is the reason why I took this big leap. Many of you know that I have Yarn Movement, and Yarn Movement is, a retail brand that I like to call a global fashion, and lifestyle brand. And it's really to encourage, individuals to really respect the handcrafting world. We put a lot of energy and efforts into the things that are being created, and I always felt like, it's a really great opportunity to, if you can, pass on the tradition, because crochet, knitting, anything handcrafting really has such a long, rich history that if we're in a space where we can really share our power of creativity, is the mission, to empower the world, we should do so, and we can do so together. This is not, any way, shape, or form of being in any kind of competition, or showing, off skills. Oh, look what I can do. This is really about going into communities, grouping up girls and telling them, and many of them for the first time, you are capable of doing anything that you set your mind to, and you're willing to put your hands, together to bring some action. And that's what we call the Think Link methodology. And so coming on live and doing these beautiful granny squares that end up being, granny square hats, and shout outs to all the crocheters out there who have been sending granny squares. They take 8 granny squares to make the granny square beanies. And these beanies are being sold. One beanie supports 2 girls through the process that I just went through of them getting all the supplies needed to do the dream catcher, have their journaling and their journey process, and learn to crochet, along with the fact that they'll get the sanitary products, the personal hygiene products and kits, along with the solar lamps. And that's really the process. It's really simple. I think that it only gets, complicated when other people make it complicated. There's a very simple way of going into a group, teaching crochet, passing out what you need, getting everybody excited, and leaving something positive there, Hey, I got my yarn all tangled up on me. There we go. There we go. Hey, Kim. Hey, Crystal. And yep, if you're guessing, and if you haven't watched before, you know that it's 1,000 degrees in California right now. We are having a major heat wave, and I've been trying to adjust myself to make sure it's not too much glare, but I have to just go with it because the sun is moving around right now, and I just want to make sure it's not leaning on me. Girl, I won't complain because it's much better than having snow or something crazy. So I don't necessarily have any more of this blue, so I decided to use this cashmere mixed blue. So it's still the same navy blue with a little texture, but that's the fun thing about being a designer and creative. You can do anything you want. And these came from, oh man, Bold Creations. Hey, Kim. Look at these. These are great colors. Kim really gets me because, We are cut from the same cloth. That's my girl. Oh yes, I do have some notes in my mind. So earlier this week, I posted the video that I was just saying, right, from when we were in Tanzania, and we first got there. 22-hour flight. I kind of slept, but I kind of didn't sleep because, you know, when you travel internationally, it's like open bar, open bar, and all the movies you can watch. And so, like, they had Black Panther in there. So, you know, I watched Black Panther a few times. And I was just like really, really, really excited, you know, to just go because I kind of had a late start last year as far as fundraising goes. I didn't quite feel like I prepared as far as being able to travel, for instance, like with the camera crew. Normally, for the past couple of times, I've traveled like with groups or I traveled by myself, and it was very easy to navigate for one person solo versus, you know, having a small group, along with the fact of going to so many locations because, like, so for the first year, went into Nigeria, went by myself, met some awesome people. My goal was to just prove that I can go into, you know, into the country without speaking the language, having somewhat of a cultural challenge as well, and not really being familiar, and just walk in, bring my yarn, figure out if it's okay for me to sit down with girls and just teach, or if there needs to be another way to go after, or, you know, go about it. Oh, someone's at my door. I need to go open the door. Hang on. Okay. Sorry about that. Had a delivery, I forgot. But yeah, so thank you guys for sticking around though. So first year Nigeria went, didn't necessarily have any plans. It was kind of like a proof of concept type of year to figure out if I can go and be received. The following year I went to Morocco, and I worked with a group of girls there, and I had 30 girls, but they were in a classroom, and I brought my program. And then so last year, I knew that regardless of anything that happened, that give me 30 girls in 2 hours and I can teach them the basics. So that was a way I kind of went about planning it, and then sat down with a solar energy company and I told them the story, you know, kind of gave my own experience of being in the country, unfamiliar with a bunch of stuff, but having the passion it required to just be there, teach, and make a difference, make a change of some type, even if the change was just for one or two girls, you know. And so ended up going into 10 schools. So even making the adjustment of going from not having a plan to working with 30 girls and going into 10 schools to work with 30 girls. So now I'm working with 300 girls is the number, right? So just navigating that process, you know. I was sharing just the other day, I said that I was going to tell the story of when we got into customs, right? So there's a lot of, like, you know, challenges, I guess, because in my mind, I'm like, okay, we had a little bit over $10,000 to $15,000 worth of merchandise, you know, as far as what we were about to give away. because that included all of the sanitary products, the solar lamps, the yarn. I gave nail polish, and like just little stuff, and all of it was kind of like bagged up, along with the fact that I had a camera crew. So we had all of these things that were going on, right? So when we get into the airport into Tanzania, had these huge, I don't have any of them in this room, but had these huge, oh, it's a duffel bag over there. It's over in the corner though, but that's it, like 7 feet high, full of stuff. And we had 6 of them, along with, you know, tripods, you know, and cameras. And, you know, when we get into customs, we had to pay for our visa to get into the country. And, you know, there were like strict requirements there where we had to have crisp $100 bills. They don't take anything else except the crisp $100 bills. So everything is fine. We're rolling, right? Get the bags off the, you know, the scanner, put them down. Here comes this guy. And he goes, "Oh, where are you coming from?" Right? And we're like, "Oh, we're here from America. We're so excited." This is me because I'm always excited. Right? I'm overexcited. Overexcited. I'm like, "Oh, we're here from America. We're going to be doing some great work. And I'm here to be happy to be here in the country." And he goes, "Oh, okay. So what's in this bags?" And, you know, I'm like, "Oh, it's yarn, you know, materials. There's some books in here, you know." And I was like, "And that's camera equipment, you know." And he goes, "So how much would you say it's all worth?" And I was just like, "I don't know, maybe like 25,000 US, you know, maybe something like that." And he goes, "Oh," he goes back in his room. Keep in mind, he's holding us hostage at this point, right? And what I've learned through travel is that you always need somebody on the ground that you know, right? Thankfully, I called my boy who is very familiar with everything that's going on in the country. He's from there. Plus, he's connected to dignitaries. And I plead him for him to be at the airport, just in case anything happened, right? So the guy comes back in the room and he goes, "Oh, so, you know, my calculation serves me correct. You know, you need to pay 10% tax on what you're bringing into the country." And I was like, "Well, they're gifts. We're not selling anything. These are all gifts. Everything's being given away." And he gives like a strange look. And he's like, "Yeah, it's going to be $2,000. So he wants $2,000 to go through customs. And so, hello, tell him the situation. I'm like, "Can you come in here?" So he comes in. We're out of there in 5 minutes flat. You know, I don't know what kind of conversation they had, a conversation in the background, but essentially he told him, like, you know, they're here to do philanthropy work. They're not selling anything. They're not here to take anything from the country. But one of the things that I learned in that process was that it's a bad, what do you want to say? It's just a bad like history there of people coming into continent and there to take. That it wasn't even a thought of idea that we're there to bring something. And that even made me more inspired. You know, was I kind of like pushed back from, you know, the experience of even just dealing with him. I was kind of just like, "Bruh, like, come on, brother," you know. But I mean, it was a very interesting lesson learned that, you know, prepare. And that's what's being taught with this journaling process. You know, that's really literally how my mind works. And that's the best way for me to teach other people if they're on the same journey of like learning how to really just plan ahead and plan for the worst, plan for the best, and really, you know, really solidify a structure that's really going to get them to their end goal, no matter what. Like, even if you have to go left, right, and, you know, do all kind of twirls, that at least you can fall into this space where you still get to do all the things that you want to do. And to finish up that story, after we are done with all of the installations, so we did installations in 10 installation activation, let's say both, into 10 locations. As far as school go, and I say activation because we're activating the workshop program of being able to do the crochet lessons and activating their minds. Installations because the same solar energy company decided that they were going to install solar in actually all the schools. So while I was teaching the courses in the workshops, they were installing solar in the schools. And one other layer to that is that while I was doing research, I read that mostly at all of the schools, the primary schools, they have somewhat of like a clinic or a health center of some type attached or close by. And so we did installations of solar. Jeez. Installations of solar in 6 different health centers. So it turned out to be really, really cool. And I think what was a blessing in the end was that one of the prominent foundations in the country, known as the Julius Nyerere Foundation. So Julius Nyerere was a former president in Tanzania. The foundation found out about the work that we were doing, and we all sat down and had a conversation, and they literally blessed my program and told me that, you know, anything that I want to do moving forward, that they'll be helpful in the process of planning and making sure that what happened at the airport doesn't happen again, you know, not in that capacity, because of course it's really like a mindset thing that was going to require more and more individuals coming to give versus coming to take. But, you know, I think that right there was like the silver lining for me, and makes me want to continue to go through the process over and over again and continue to tell the stories and just, you know, just share and inspire. Because I would like to say that, you know, even all of the things that you put all of your great positive energy into, even when people try to throw salt onto your plan or, you know, ruin your plan, that, you know, just keep going. Because in the end, you know, like the goal for me, you know, as my mission statement says, is to help young girls discover their superpower. That's all I'm doing, right? And if that's all I'm doing, it doesn't matter if it happened through the process of learning to crochet, if it helped through the process of the journaling portion, or if it helped just having a dream catcher, or if it just helped just having someone from somewhere far away come in and giving some positive energy and, you know, telling you can do something, you know, regardless of whatever it may be, you know, just to see it. I know for myself, growing up, you know, my mentors and individuals that I idolize, you know, came in various different forms. You know, one of my favorite shows growing up was A Different World, you know, and probably because I, you know, spend so much time watching The Cosby Show, and I love the fact how, you know, you watch the story of Denise blossom, you know, that it just shows that after you grow up, you're going through your cycle of growing up, that there's something else to look for, you know, and it's not something that you have to imagine so much, but we got to see the reality of it. And really for me, seeing and watching A Different World inspired me to go to HBCU. You know, that's how I ended up at Howard University, because I was inspired by the stories and really the experiences that I got to view on TV and the dramatic form of it. And it inspired me to be around individuals that look like me and, you know, want to be in a space where we can be in a, you know, like in a space where we thrive together and build, you know, really, really great relationships. And that same concept is, you know, really expressing itself through yarn movement. When I was coming up with the name of yarn movement, you know, I've obviously had another name or business name prior to. I've started this business when I was in college, freshman year at Howard. And, you know, while I was still trying to like figure out where things were going to go, and understand, like, what is the mission? What am I really doing? Because it can't just because I like to, I mean, it could be, I guess, because you like to do something, so you continue to do it, you figure out a way to make money. But for me, I wanted to have something that had some kind of long-term value connected to it. And that long-term value for me was being able to really give individuals the understanding that I have an opportunity to exchange energy with them. So if I'm placing positive energy into the things I'm creating, and I'm doing so in a space where it's literally being created for you, then that's where it becomes a movement, because now we're allowing the energy to be transactional almost. So I'm passing it to you, you pass it to the next person, you pass it in. And from that, it creates this, mobility that becomes a movement. And that's exactly what it continues to be today. As I finish up this yarn ball that I'm not going to allow to get tangled anymore. And, another thing that pops up, people, who are knitters, like I do not knit, but I just choose to crochet because I felt like it was just the quickest way for me to get stuff done. I learned both, but, and it's a way where at the end of the day, I like to say that we're all handcrafters. We're still kind of utilizing the same, mechanism, which is transferring of our mind, our thoughts into our hands. And we just use a different tool, different, methodology, same mechanism. And we get to inspire the next generation to do the same thing. And that's what's cool. Because there's so many things that I remember like doing growing up that it's not even a thing for young people right now. Like even with my nieces and nephews, it's a little different because, I spend a lot of time around our family and we're just outside type people. So not so much for them, but I just think about some of my friends who their kids spend a lot of time on devices and have a lot of screen time. And I just think about, for me, I wasn't allowed to watch TV during the week. Crazy, I know. But my mom was not going for it. We cannot watch TV during the week. I mean, we would sneak. And, that was when we had those big box TVs that kind of set on the middle of the floor and get really hot. And so like we'll sneak and watch TV, and then we'll always get caught because the TV would still be hot when she comes back. But during those days, I mean, you had to watch, Yo MTV Raps, you had to watch. I mean, even like Tiny Toons. I remember when Tiny Toons started. A rush home so we can watch Tiny Toons. And, it's just, I don't know. Memories, great memories that really have been able to craft who I am today. Things that I can hold on to. And I think that being able to be in a space to inspire individuals to become handcrafters, and for me, inspire crocheters is a blessing. It's a great way to pay homage to the generation before, especially since I learned to crochet from my grandmother's best friend, Miss Cora May. Hey, Cora May, who has passed away several years ago, but I carry her stories in my stitches. I think about there's plenty of times where sometimes you end up dropping a stitch, but she taught me all of these little cool techniques to fix it, so I didn't have to go all the way back. And so your work doesn't get lopsided, and that's really the character. Oops. I pulled that a little too tight. So let's get into these squares though. Hey, squares. I know Tiny Toons. I love Tiny Toons. We're tiny, we're toony, we're all over the way. That was the best cartoon. Because it like put all of the, you know, tiny versions of Bugs Bunny and, you know, everybody. It was just good. Yeah, this is a sip and stitch. I haven't even had my sip. Because y'all know this is Sunday. It's my favorite mug. Why? Because it's a reminder for us all to stay up, America. Message from the real president, a poetess, Obama. What's up, man? It's time to make sure y'all go out and vote. And I'm all I'm all hyped to vote. I voted on the first day. You know, sit down with my grandmother, my aunt, my mom, and we went through every single proposition because they try to trick you on propositions though. Jeez. I mean, what are you really asking, right? But so all I can say is make sure y'all get out and vote. It's important. How cute are these colors? Look at that. So cute. That blue looks dope. What's up, Mo? How are you, cousin? I haven't seen you in so long. What am I gonna do? Uh-oh. So yes, so when you guys see people wearing crochet granny square beanies, either I made it for them or they got the pattern for me. You know, one of the two. I'm not doing buckets. I'm doing beanies. I'm gonna bring out my bag right there. And by the end of this year, I'm gonna have 100 or more done. Keep me inspired, y'all. I must say though, I have been consistent with these Sundays. Because many people may believe that I like doing lives. I don't have a problem with them, but if I didn't have to, you know, actually get dressed and be cute for y'all, I would be in here just in my own space playing music. And I gotta be careful on playing music for social because they're haters. Haters. Okay. They cut you off. They block your videos. They don't want you to be great. But I want you to be great. So I don't play music. So now you have to hear the fan blowing and watch it blow. This is a summer Caribbean breeze because it's so hot out here. Oh, yes. That's right. Start them off young. Show these kids how to vote. We all have to understand that our vote counts. It matters. It carries a weight. Not discussing who you should vote for or what you should vote for, or just saying vote. They're individuals who died without having the opportunity to vote. So minimally just do that. Just show up. Did you all watch SNL last night? Y'all should know I love Issa Rae. So, hey, Issa girl. But she did extremely well last night. I was like really, really, really proud of her. Her monologue just talked about the journey she's been on, being in the industry. One of the things that they kind of talk about in the industry is that, you're on this journey where you start like kind of like starting high school, where, you start in as a freshman. Every year you grow, you get to grow with those that you come in with. And last night she said that felt like that was her prom, her senior year prom. Being on SNL, coming from where she came from as far as, starting her show on the internet and just blossoming to where it is now. She's in her 4th season of Insecure for HBO and just killing it. So proud. And the sketches were hella funny. That was my point. Hella funny. I had to go and buy metal needles because I got a really good deal on some plastic ones, so I was fine with them just breaking however often they felt like breaking. But I am all out of the plastic ones, so I got these metal ones, and boy, am I glad I did, because they definitely make a difference. I'm playing myself on this one because I busted the yarn a little bit, but we'll see. Okay. Yeah, I mean, again, just vote. As my dad used to say, use your brain. He used to love saying that. Use your brain. If he asks like a silly question, just like, did you finish this? Like, did you brush your teeth? Use your brain. Like, use your brain and vote. Okay, that's all I'm gonna say. Okay, now we're gonna put our beanie together and wait till you see it because it's gonna be extra popping. Okay, these are hot colors. I love me a color pop. I don't really even know that we're gonna have a winter in California because it's October and it's still 98 degrees outside. So what are we gonna do? Let's just skip back into spring and summer. I'm with it. I mean, I guess we probably need some rain, but we still have bees flying around, which bees are normally, spring, summer to, help pollinate some of the fruit, the seasonal fruit. But the world is just confused right now. So I'll take it. I'll eat some cherries and nectarines that are still growing because the season hasn't decided to end. Um, have Kim send us all some tomatoes out of her garden. Hey, man, send us some tomatoes, girl. We need these tomatoes. I know, right? Mo says that she's been enjoying the grapes. Me too. Girl, I get the black, red, and green. Jamming. I even tried, the green grapes when you put a little sprinkle in with lime juice and you put them in the freezer and they taste like a grape or an apple Jolly Rancher. They're popping. I got that from Tab. Hey, Tab. How about the brown? I love watching your videos, girl. You make everything look good. Okay. I've even been eating watermelon, which probably shouldn't do that, but it's been good. And it's been the seeded one. So, I normally am like a watermelon snob. Like, I'm like, oh, it has to have seeds. But at this point, you know what? I say, if it didn't kill you, just go ahead and have it. This beanie's gonna be popping. Ooh, I like it. I know. So I just got an air fryer, and I've been thinking about getting some of those lobster mushrooms and seeing if I can make air fried lobster mushrooms. That sounds super good. But yes. Oh, I must tell you all. Speaking of, believe in what you dream, I'm going to be working with a few different groups actually, because we had to be creative with the workshops. I'm not able to travel, period, because people don't want to wear their mask and we're still in COVID and it's being spread even more now. But anyway, going to be doing virtual workshops where I'm teaching girls ages really probably 9 through 14, along with a separate group. I noticed last year that I needed to be inclusive of course, the next group, outside of the fact that sanitary products are much more convenient for them and a necessity, I should say. But also because there's a different conversation. They're a little bit more older and there's, a different kind of influence to give. And so that's going to start actually next month. But we do projects. I really love pouring into the generation of the next generation of girls, handcrafters, creatives, mostly because also if we don't spend enough time inspiring girls to be creative in that way, then we're gonna miss a whole bunch of like dope art and fashion and all kind of stuff. And I am one to really advocate for that because, it gives them a voice to be expressive. Because as a former teacher, I understand the difference between kids who are empowered and those who aren't. And there's no need to really put them in a space where they are operating at a space of, lack or scarcity because of not, having confidence to really be expressive or feel like they're understood because they don't stand out like other people or other classmates or whoever it may be. And so my background is I am an investigative research scientist, and my focus has always been behaviors, knowledge, attitudes, and behavior. So KABs is, like the terminology, your knowledge, attitude, and behavior. But with understanding knowledge, attitudes, and behaviors, you have an opportunity to really help kids develop, really, because we're all different kind of learners, right? Some people can read something and get it. Some people can see it and get it. And then others have to be almost go through what I have to do sometimes when I'm traveling, when there's a language barrier, have muted exchanges of just showing like, okay, what I do, you do, and ultimately once you get familiarized with the process and understand the mechanism, then you make it your own. And that is important because the traditional way of teaching is very monolithic. And I think that we are all have an opportunity to get to see that, play out right now with all of the distant learning. And, God bless the instructors and teachers who are in the trenches every day, really trying to figure out their rhythm right now, because we're dealing with a lot of different things. It's the expectation that, prior to COVID, maybe kids spent all of their device time, meaning, or their screen time, playing games or having things that didn't necessarily carry a value, especially academically. They can learn and be introduced to maybe a concept, learn how to code, learn maybe how to read, but now they're also aligning this other level of being able to quantify it. And that quantification is what's being used to create scorecards for kids. And that's a difficult space because in one notion, you want kids to flip their brain to say, oh, I know you used to use it to play a game, but now I need you to do it to study, and I need you to do it on this schedule. And so that's another benefit of, for me, teaching a skill like crocheting, because it allows the mind to flip into this space where you're able to really create a strategic plan mentally because you know what's getting ready to come. And you can really be expressive in a different way. You just get another set of tools to use, other than the ones that you already know naturally. And it gives you this ability to flip-flop, because learning to crochet, there's steps. So when you start, always start with creating yarn ball, like you all just saw. Then there is a slip stitch. They're chaining. They're learning stitch, single, double, triple, and then doing a combination. And everything is a slip knot to close. You're weaving back in, and you're done, right? So if someone were to hand you a project and say, hey, I just need you to go through and single stitch the top, you already had the tools required to understand, okay, I know what a single stitch, I know how to do it. I can pick up from where that person left off. The same concept is true from learning in a space of digital. You get an opportunity to figure out, okay, so if I'm in this room or if I'm on this concept, here's this new way of looking at it. Right? Where now they're learning how to understand, okay, well, I used to do this math problem on paper. Now I have to do it on this device and still be able to show my work. How am I going to do that? Right? And it opens up your mind a little bit, because it gives your brain an opportunity to do an exercise that you're unknowingly doing, in your subconscious. When we're rolling yarn balls, the repetition of going like this is really allowing your brain to process some things, that especially for us as women, sometimes we're too emotional to, get to that place. Our mind has, all kind of dimensions, and we're able to get to certain dimensions based on concentration and being able to focus. And again, the repetition of doing, anything hand stitching, whether you're doing cross stitch embroidery, you're netting, you're crocheting, you're allowing your brain to really do something repetitive that's not required, taking this step to say, hey, okay, move your arm, okay, kick your leg at the same time, but you're literally just doing the same thing. What that's doing is just like working out any muscle. When you go to the gym, the more you do this, the stronger it gets. The same thing with your brain. And so this gives an opportunity for all of us. This is not just a kid thing. This is why we do sip and stitches. If we weren't in COVID, these sip and stitches were happening at local wineries and restaurants where we come together. I bring all the materials. We have an opportunity to sit down and have a really cool way of engaging in those ways where, it's very therapeutic. And I utilize, my knowledge base from the science side to help really get through those things. I mean, we're talking about in spaces, even for myself, I'm a full-time care provider, and people never know like that I take care of two people. One is my father and the other is my grandmother. And that's an emotional journey in itself. But because I crochet and because I'm able to find therapy in this, I'm able to smile. I'm able to, not only smile, but actually have really good energy behind it and always come with a positive form. Right. And that takes a lot, especially when, you're dealing with a space where you're dealing with reality. Right. And it could be somebody else's reality, but it affects you for sure. And if you don't have an outlet, it could be overpowering. Even just being in COVID, for instance, I literally don't really go outside, partially because I don't want to, expose my grandmother or my father to anything that may cause them harm to their health, but for me, I mean, I was able to put my artwork up. I have, all kind of projects growing. My business is going really well. Outside of Yarn Movement, I'm the director of community engagement for a branding company. And so, I mean, I'm on creative overload, and I have time, space, and energy to do it. And I'm not overwhelmed. So even with that, that's meaningful. I have a lot of friends who have gone stir crazy, literally being at home, because it's, not a reality for them, not a norm. It kind of forces you kind of be on like social media to engage with people, I guess. But if you didn't have those relationships in the first place, it's a very lonely place to be. And so having something to do to keep your mind occupied and, engage your endorphins at the same time is, very powerful. On whatever level you're coming in, adult, child, teenager, this is a new experience. I was having a conversation yesterday, chat, where we were talking about Halloween, and people were like going crazy. And I was just like, I really don't care about Halloween. Like, you want some candy, go buy some candy, right? I mean, growing up, sure, it was, fun going out to be in the neighborhood with, all of the neighborhood kids and my cousins and things like that. But it's just, there are some crazy people in the world right now. It's much more safer. Like, you want to have some candy? Okay, like, put your money together and go have candy. But they were just like losing it. Like, what are we going to do? You're going to survive. That's one. You know, you want me to buy you some candy? Okay, I'm gonna send you some candy and have it delivered and say trick or treat. For real. Seriously, Mo, right? You're a mom, so you understand. It's a lot putting on them costumes and stuff, especially if you do some like if you really want to go out and do some face painting. I mean, it just hasn't been the same for the last couple of years. Okay, so we just have to close up the top now. Let's see. Oh, have you all watched my video where I have like a costume? This was the thing that sparked a conversation yesterday of the video, the Pow Pow video. And she's like, hold up, wait a minute. It's 22. Pew, pew, pew. Not Pow Pow, pew, pew. Do you know Instagram took down my video? I'm about to get it back up though, don't worry. There are some haters. It's like it came from TikTok. The music was already cleared. Why are you guys playing? Haters. You said costumes cost too much. Oh, and my little cousin be doing too much. I know. You said be creative. We doing a pinata. Oh, that's see, there you go. See, and you know that all of the candy is tested because you put it in there yourself. That's why I fools with you, Mo. Uh-oh. That didn't work. I gotta put another yarn at the top. I forgot this little cute snazzy yarn. Snags. Let's put some black up there. You said, why did they take the video down? They took the video down because they said it was a copyright infringement. And Houseway. The song has been cleared for Creative Common use. I'm not selling nothing with it, you know. They just mad I look better than the original video. Because I had a full costume on. I put some energy in there. I had my own Halloween. That was my real response the other day. Okay. I'm getting a tan, y'all. In the house. The sun rays are doing this job. But it's hot. Okay. So now, here we go. Now I can actually close it off for real. How cute. Let me try it on. Let's see. Hey, 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 hey. Yeah. I'm going to do a border though. Really quick. So I can feel like it's all closed out. Y'all know I love y'all because it is hot as fish grease. Putting on this crochet hat. Okay. Get our border. Real quick live. Okay. Just real quick like. Uh-huh. Here you. Okay. Oh, I just thought about my godmother a second ago. So I learned to crochet from Mama Cora, but Mama Evelyn is my godmother, and she's the one who taught me how to hold my fingers so I don't get any carpal tunnel or any damage in my fingers. I just remember I almost feel like she had a needle under my finger, you know, an actual needle to make sure that I held my hand correctly. So I don't make that suggestion, but but because she did that and made me get really good about, you know, making sure I have some accurate stitches and it looks clean, or else she would take it apart. So that made me extra weary of making sure that I didn't have any drop stitches and everything was extra neat. The first time I cried my little face out. I was done with the scarf. Okay, you hear me? Done. 60, 68 rows or something like that. She took all of them out. And she was just like, oh, well, you know, you can take out the rest. I was like, I think it looked cute. She was just like, that is not cute. It's, you know, lopsided. It's not, you know, people if they're paying you money for you to buy something from you, you better make sure it's done the best of your ability. And she was just like, and that's not the best. And I was like, so sad. But she was right. That was some tough love right there, girlfriend. But I don't even play no games now. we go. Now we have a border. See that? It's so fancy, y'all. Yeah, it's so fancy. So this is our beanie for today. So thank you all for checking in for today's sipping stage. Remember, these hats are being sold for proceeds to go towards Believe in What You Dream work. So any purchases that you make, it's a write-off for you. And it's a benefit for two girls. They'll get Dream Girl kits, which they'll get all the materials that's needed for the workshop, from the yarn, the hook, scissors, the journal, along with the hygiene kit that goes with it. So that's soap, that's, some kind of body spray, along with a 3-month supply of sanitary products or more. It's all based on what kind of movement we can get. And the solar energy lamp. And that's what goes into the dream kit. And so one hat is going to impact two girls to receive those. And so if you're interested in either purchasing, cheers.